Well, parts of MAGA are panicking at the moment because over the weekend, Donald Trump announced that he was approving a mysterious deal between a Japanese steelmaker and a U.S. steelmaker that Trump previously opposed and was previously blocked by President Biden. More alarmingly, Trump admitted that he really doesn't know the details of the deal. And what's hilarious is to see MAGA Fox News host Laura Ingraham and her MAGA guest get visibly nervous about this, even though they're trying to put on a brave face. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, I just want to play you a clip of Donald Trump again confirming that he is approving some sort of deal between Nippon Steel, a Japanese steelmaker, and U.S. Steel, which, as it sounds, is a U.S. steelmaker.
All steelworkers.
Is it an acquisition? Is Nippon acquiring U.S. Steel?
Investment. It's controlled by the United States, and more importantly, they're spending the money on brick and mortar. You can't take it. What are you going to do? Pick it up and move it to Japan? That's not going to happen. And, you know, I rejected this about 4 times now, and when they finally got it right, I liked it a lot. And you could see how happy the steelworkers were. More importantly, you could see from the union standpoint, the union loved it. Thousands of all steelworkers.
So he admits he previously opposed this deal, and President Biden blocked it as well. And he admits in other places that he doesn't really know the details. We'll get into that in just a second. But first, I want you to see Fox's reaction. Laura Ingraham and one of her MAGA guests discussing this announcement. And again, they're trying to put on a brave face. But you can tell they're a little nervous, and especially something Laura Ingraham says at the end about Trump not having all the details.
This is being described as a partnership, this deal between Nippon and U.S. Steel, but then it's described as an acquisition on the U.S. Steel website, and then it's described as a partnership, and President Trump said he will be watching over things as things proceed, as this deal goes forward. Have you seen any of the terms of this deal thus far? Like, who owns the majority stake in this company?
Laura, this is exactly where I was hoping you would start, because I'm reading all these different things. I'm trying to get deal details, and I'm hearing it's an investment. Okay, that sounds terrific. Then I hear it's a partnership. I'm thinking, wait a minute. And then you think about it, U.S. Steel has been, Nippon Steel has had its eye on U.S. Steel, trying to buy it for 18 months. And we cannot have U.S. Steel owned by a foreign company. Even a great country like Japan should not be owning any part of U.S. major manufacturing. I mean, that is a major national security risk. And I've not seen the deal details. The rally was sensational. I completely trust Donald Trump, and I trust the current Japanese government to do something good. But we have to insulate ourselves, Laura, in case we have a bad president one day. So right. Any deal, when we see these terms, it needs to be Pete Buttigieg proof. It needs to be Kamala Harris proof. The amount of surveillance we're going to have to do, the amount of censoring and surveying that we're going to have to do to make sure that Japan can't use U.S. Steel to leverage us in a dispute, it's going to be a lot. I trust Trump. I don't trust everyone else on this.
Well, and I don't know if he was fully informed about the terms of the deal. We just don't know. But
so there you have it. They're freaking out about this because it's very obvious that Trump doesn't know what the hell he's doing and is contradicted. He says that it's going to be total U.S. control. Other sources say it's a partnership. Others say that U.S. Steel is being acquired by Nippon, which is something they've been trying to do. CNN has a write-up on this. Trump called it a disaster. Biden blocked it. Now Trump is traveling to Pittsburgh to celebrate Japan's takeover of U.S. Steel. Trump traveled to Pittsburgh Friday to celebrate a deal he once vowed to oppose, Japanese steelmaker Nippon Steel's long-announced plan to buy iconic American steelmaker U.S. Steel. Quote, "We're going to be so successful. You just have started. You just watch. We're here today to celebrate a blockbuster agreement that will ensure this storied American company stays an American company. You're going to stay an American company," Trump said at a U.S. Steel plant just outside of Pittsburgh before an audience of steel workers in hard hats and safety vests. So again, that was extremely incoherent, predictably Donald Trump. He also announced he's increasing the tariff on imported steel from 25% to 50%. Quote, "The people here understand the word tariff. You understand it better than the people on Wall Street," he told steel workers. Quote, "We don't want America's future to be built with shoddy steel from Shanghai. We want it built with the strength and pride of Pittsburgh." But Trump later said Friday that the deal between U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel has not been finalized despite the earlier celebration in Pennsylvania. Quote, "I have to approve the final deal with Nippon, and we haven't seen that final deal yet," Trump told reporters after returning to Washington. Quote, but they've made a very big commitment, and it's a very big investment, Trump quickly added. Quote, it's the largest investment in the history of the state of Pennsylvania in any deal, not just steel. The deal to have a Japanese company purchase U.S. steel has drawn bipartisan opposition. President Biden blocked the deal on national security grounds shortly before he left office. But a week ago, Trump announced that he would approve the deal, although he described it as a partnership between the two companies, not a purchase. When asked Sunday about the deal, he told reporters, quote, it's an investment and it'll be partial ownership, by Nippon. Quote, it will be controlled by the United States. Otherwise, I wouldn't make the deal, he said. Trump did tell the crowd Friday he had previously been opposed to the bill. Quote, they kept asking me over and over, and I kept rejecting it. No way, no way, no way, he said. But he said the more money that Nippon agreed to put up in investments in U.S. steel, the more he warmed to the deal. Quote, the deal got better and better and better for the workers, Trump said. Quote, I'm going to be watching over it. It's going to be great. The appearance and his latest announcement appear to clear the way for the controversial deal at a time that longtime allies, Japan and the United States, find themselves in the middle of a trade war. Trump is threatening increased tariffs on U.S. imports from Japan and has already imposed tariffs on all steel imports. It also introduces foreign ownership to a company that was once a symbol of American industrial might that has become a struggling afterthought in the modern U.S. economy. Terms of the deal unclear. U.S. Steel CEO David Burra and Nippon Vice Chairman Tahiro Mori both praised Trump at a rally at U.S. Steel mill ahead of the president's arrival Friday. Mori called the deal, quote, a game changer for the next generation of steel making. Quote, because of President Trump, U.S. steel will remain made in America by Americans, Mori said. Quote, thank you, Mr. President. You are saving American steel, and now we will start to make the massive investments that will transform U.S. steel on the world stage. End quote. And that may be true, but of course they would say something like that, right? The devil's in the details. But neither executive addressed the key issue of the deal, how much of U.S. steel Nippon will own once the deal closes. And that is indeed the key part, as Laura Ingraham and the Breitbart editor-in-chief, the MAGA guest that she was interviewing, that's what they're panicking about. The United Steelworkers, which represents U.S. Steel's hourly workers in Pennsylvania and Indiana, said it is not dropping its opposition because it believes the deal still represents a complete purchase by Nippon. Quote, issuing press releases and making political speeches is easy, the union said in a statement after the rally Friday. Quote, binding commitments are hard. The devil is always in the details, and that is especially true with a bad actor like Nippon Steel that has again and again violated our trade laws, devastating steel communities in Pennsylvania and elsewhere. The local union officials who represent the workers at the Pittsburgh area plants split with the national leadership and backed the deal. Some spoke at the rally Friday in favor of the deal. Even if Nippon does own all the shares, it will apparently be with restrictions. The, quote, control Trump is referring to will likely come from the federal government holding so-called, quote, golden shares in U.S. Steel as a condition of approval. That allows the government to approve a majority of the company's board members, who will be all American, Pennsylvania Senator David McCormick told CNBC. Quote, that will allow the United States to ensure that production levels aren't cut, McCormick, the Republican senator from Pennsylvania, said Tuesday. A week after the announcement, neither company has yet said how much of U.S. Steel Nippon will own. Quote, U.S. Steel will remain American, and we will grow bigger and stronger through a partnership with Nippon Steel that brings massive investment, new technologies, and thousands of jobs over the next 4 years, the company said in a statement last Friday following Trump's announcement. While Trump repeatedly vowed to block the deal while on the campaign trail, he has signaled since taking office that he might be open to the deal after all. In March, the administration filed a motion to extend 2 deadlines in a lawsuit U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel filed against the Committee on Foreign Investments in the United States, which scrutinizes foreign investments for national security risks. Trump then ordered a new review of the acquisition in April. Trump said Sunday that members of Congress had been pushing for approval of the deal, as did local unions that represent hourly workers at U.S. Steel. But the national union officials continue to urge Trump to block the deal, calling it, quote, a disaster for American steel workers, our national security, and the future of American manufacturing. U.S. Steel has threatened that it would be forced to close some of its older unionized mills unless the deal is completed and it gets investment dollars needed to modernize. But the USW said it's worried Nippon's long-term goal is to shift production to its non-union operations in Texas or to import steel from Japan to be finished in the United States, ending integrated steel production in the company. Nippon Steel has promised, however, to honor the union's contracts with U.S. Steel and to invest billions in integrated mills in Pennsylvania and Indiana. U.S. Steel was once a symbol of industrial dominance. It was the most valuable company in the world and the first to be worth $1 billion soon after its creation in 1901. It was also crucial to the U.S. economy throughout much of the 20th century, providing the steel needed to build cars, appliances, bridges, and skyscrapers, as well as weapons that helped win the Second World War. But it has suffered through decades of decline since the post-World War II era. It's no longer even the largest U.S. steelmaker and a relatively minor employer with 14,000 U.S. employees, 11,000 of whom are members of the USW. But it is still not a company that politicians who enjoy talking about American greatness want to see fall into foreign hands, particularly in the politically significant state of Pennsylvania. So those who support the deal have gone out of their way to suggest that it will stay American, with an American CEO and headquarters in Pittsburgh, even if it becomes a wholly owned subsidiary of a foreign rival. Trump said it's crucial to protect the American steel industry from foreign competitors. Quote, if you don't have steel, you don't have a country, he told the crowd. Quote, you can't make a military. What are we going to do? Say, let's go to China to get our steel for the army tanks and for the boats and ships? A strong steel industry is not just a matter of dignity or prosperity and pride. It's above all a matter of national security. He had to quote, for many generations, the name United States Steel was synonymous with greatness, and it will now be, again, synonymous with greatness. Again, problem is, it just doesn't seem like he's really up to speed on the deals, on the details of the deal, and that the details seem to be contradicted by various sources. As, again, Laura Ingraham and her MAGA guest note, that's the big problem with this, to say nothing of, how much do you, how much of a priority is national security versus, maintaining union jobs. They are both high priorities. They should be high priorities. It's not an easy decision, in my opinion. But to me, it's really alarming that not only Trump is making this decision, but he doesn't seem to have a full grasp of the facts. And again, the details are very opaque at best. I want to play some other clips, though, of Trump's, impromptu interview on the tarmac there. This one, he was asked about Elon Musk.
I like this man.
Were you aware of Elon Musk's regular drug use?
No, I wasn't. I think he's fantastic. I think Elon is a fantastic guy. And
are you troubled by these reports?
I'm not troubled by anything with Elon. I think he's fantastic. Did a great job. And Doge continues, and by the time it's finished, we'll have numbers that'll knock your socks off.
Yeah. Again, whatever numbers Doge purports to have will be vaporized by this one big, beautiful bill, which is why Elon Musk opposes it. But yeah, this is in response to a bombshell report. We did a video or two about it from the New York Times talking about Musk's increasing alleged drug use during the campaign. I like how Trump was like, no, I wasn't aware of it. Instead of saying, no, I don't believe he was on drugs. He was just like, no, I had no idea. I'm surprised by it, but always great. Kind of funny. That's not the answer Elon Musk is probably wanting Trump to give. But here's another clip.
Mr. President, do you support the Lindsey Graham Blumenthal bill that would levy sanctions on Russia?
I don't know. I have to see it. I'll take a look at it.
It's always his answer is, I don't know, I don't know. Blumenthal and Lindsey Graham are teaming up because apparently they're losing confidence in Trump's ability to punish Russia, and so that they support enacting legislation which will force Trump to impose additional sanctions on Russia. And again, Trump's answer is always, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, especially when it comes to Putin. Here's another clip.
Do you anticipate any trade deals next week at all? And does this deal today with Nippon sort of overall help your talks with Japan?
Well, Japan very much wants to make a trade deal. I don't think this has much to do with it, but certainly it certainly won't hurt because we have a very good relationship with Japan. But as you know, Japan is in there right now negotiating as we speak.
Again, he says that about every country. He says that they're all negotiating. They definitely want to make a deal. 90 deals in 90 days, and he is, again, I think we're, a month and a half into this? Like, I can't even remember when he paused the Liberation Day tariffs, but we're over a month at least into it, and no deals have been made. So you're at least 30 days down. You have 60 days left to come up with 90 deals, and it just seems like you're full of shit. Here's another clip.
They want to very much make a deal. I think the deal I'm most proud of is the fact that we're dealing with India, we're dealing with Pakistan, and we were able to stop potentially a nuclear war through trade as opposed through bullets. Normally they do it through bullets. We do it through trade.
So you may recall that India and Pakistan there was an armed conflict there for a few days. They were actually exchanging ordnance, and they're two nuclear powers. And Donald Trump talks about, Joe Biden nearly created World War III, when he's not saying World War II. And whatever risk Russia's invasion of Ukraine poses in terms of nuclear war, because Russia is, of course, a nuclear power, India and Pakistan are both nuclear powers. So whatever risks are imposed by one nuclear power attacking a non-nuclear power, That risk is substantially greater when you have two nuclear powers directly fighting each other. And that happened on Trump's watch. Trump's trying to take credit for it. There's some evidence. I can't remember if it was, can't remember. I think it was Pakistan's prime minister. It was one of the prime ministers. One of the heads of state did thank Trump, and then the other government was like, yeah, the U.S. had nothing to do with it. So that's just Trump, I guess, getting confused on things. One more clip, this one about a different country, one that is, I believe, our foremost trade partner, Canada.
And I let him know.
Your message to the G7 here in 2 weeks. You're going to Canada. Mark Carney up there obviously has a different view of the world than you do.
He does.
When it comes to energy, clearly, what's your message going to be at G7 here in a couple weeks?
Well, it's in Canada, and he's a very nice guy, by the way, Mark Carney. I think he's really a very nice person, and we've had some good talks. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
He's reacted to Mark Carney a hell of a lot better than he did Justin Trudeau, Carney's predecessor. And Carney has been very matter of fact, and he even said to Trump's face, we're not going to become the 51st state. We have no interest in that. Just let it go. And I don't know if Trump knows what to do about that. Carney has also gone on the record saying that the special relationship between Canada and the United States is effectively over, and Canada needs to seek alternative ways to basically create trade and commercial independence from the United States rather than close integration. So that, again, that's not good for us. Probably not good for them either, but this is just a situation that Donald Trump has created, and they have to do what they've got to do. I said that was our last clip, but I actually want this one as well because it's totally outside the realm of trade, but it is an interesting story, especially for those of us who remember how upset Republicans were about Hillary Clinton's emails and the potential security risk.
We'll see what happens.
Are you aware of the reports that Susie Wiles' phone has been breached and somebody's been impersonating her?
I've heard that, yeah.
Are you concerned about that? Do you know anything about the investigation?
She's an amazing woman. She can handle it. But I've heard that they breached her phones or they tried to impersonate her. Nobody can impersonate Susie. Nobody.
Yeah, that's not very reassuring. Susie Wiles, of course, is the White House Chief of Staff. On paper, usually in practice, the White House Chief of Staff is probably the most powerful, second most powerful person in the federal government besides the president. Again, use a Game of Thrones metaphor to those of you who watch Game of Thrones, like the hand of the king. They're the chief operating officer of the United States. They tend to control access to the president, at least a cooperative president. Trump really struggled with White House chiefs of staff in his first term. Susie Wiles has struggled to maintain her power in an era where Elon Musk has had extraordinary leverage over Trump, and then her own deputy, Stephen Miller, seems to be directing a lot of policy. But Susie Wiles was the victim of a security breach that would make Hillary Clinton's emails look like, I don't know, just a walk through the park in comparison. And nobody cares because it was never about security. It was only ever about a thing to hit Hillary Clinton with. And not for the first time, Donald Trump's administration has seen security breaches which are objectively much, much worse. And there we are. Demonstration of their incompetence. So there you have it, folks. Again, Donald Trump approving a deal that he previously opposed and was also opposed by President Biden. Now he supports it. He doesn't seem to know what the details are. The details seem to be contradicting each other in the reports. And MAGA Fox News host Laura Ingraham and her MAGA Breitbart editor guest also very concerned about this, even though they're trying to put on a brave face. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.